girl says it's gonna storm. Power lines likely to come down. Take a nap with me. Let the world go.
I'm standing behind the counter of a Christmas shop in the middle of October. I'm wearing a sweater that's maybe a bit more festive than my mood. I'm surrounded by ornaments shaped like penguins, which, to be fair, I've always had a soft spot for. And I'm thinking about the fact that 3 days ago, I sat across from an FBI agent and explained how my family and friends stole my identity using artificial intelligence. And now I'm selling Christmas ornaments. Because that's what you do when you've run out of money. You work. Whatever work is available. Even if that work involves explaining to a customer that no, we don't have that star tree topper they want, while a man outside is wolf whistling at you through the window. There's a light at the end of this tunnel. I can see it. I can feel it. But I'm also aware that it might just be New Jersey. And if you've ever driven through the Lincoln Tunnel, you know exactly what I mean. Welcome back to Everyone Wants to Be Me, Identity Theft Blows. We're in the home stretch, folks, of Season 1, and I'll be honest, this episode is a marathon. Last time I started digging out, I discovered who was behind the theft. I filed reports, and I began fighting back. Today, we go deeper into that fight. The IAB, the Internal Affairs Bureau, the FBI, more reports, counseling, the terrifying experience of running out of money, street harassment, and because my life is nothing if not absurd, working at a Christmas shop where the highlight of my day was arranging penguin figurines. We're also baking more than ever. Fastnachts, cupcakes, chocolate banana bread, muffins. The kitchen has become my war room and my sanctuary. Also, someone stole my photos, like my actual photographs, dating back 40 years. Because apparently stealing my financial identity, my digital identity, and my home wasn't enough. They wanted my memories too. More on that in a minute. The IAB, the Internal Affairs Bureau. I went there because when the police won't investigate your case, you go to the people who investigate the police. I sat down and I laid out everything. The timeline, the evidence, the reports that had been filed and ignored, the systematic failure of local law enforcement to take my case seriously. And you know what? They listened. Not perfectly, not with the urgency that I would have wanted at that time, but they listened. And after months of being told my situation was, quote, a civil matter, unquote, having someone in an official capacity actually hear me was something. Not everything, but something. The FBI was a different experience. The FBI doesn't do walk-ins the way you imagine from movies. You don't stride into a building and demand to see an agent. You file, you wait, you follow up. And eventually, if your case is deemed worthy of their time, someone contacts you. I made the trip. I presented my case. I connected the dots between the AI-enabled identity theft, the interstate nature of the crime, and the involvement of multiple individuals. I used every piece of documentation I'd been obsessively collecting. And I said something that I'd been rehearsing in my head for weeks. Your protection is our protection. Because that's the truth. When law enforcement fails to protect individual victims of identity theft, it fails everyone. My case isn't unique in its mechanics. It's unique in my willingness to talk about it. But the methods used against me are being used against thousands of people right now. Protecting me means understanding the playbook, and understanding the playbook protects everyone. The agents took notes, they asked questions, and then I left and I went back to Pennsylvania, and I waited. Because that's the other thing nobody tells you about seeking justice. It's mostly waiting. And while I was waiting, I was running out of money. Not cutting back running out, not tightening the belt running out. I mean running out. The kind of running out where you count the dollars in your wallet and do math about whether you can afford both food and, if you have a car, gas this week. The kind where you take a job, any job, because the alternative is zero income. Which is how I ended up at the Christmas shop. I love Christmas. I do. And I love penguins. So working at a Christmas shop that sold penguin ornaments, amongst other things, was in some ways the most delightful minimum wage job I could have gotten. I arranged displays, I helped customers find gifts, I wrapped packages in paper that shed glitter like a cat sheds hair, and I dealt with customers. Bless their pointy little heads. There was one man who asked about a star tree topper while making a gesture with his finger that was, how do I put this? Not PG-13. He kept shoving his finger up an imaginary hole to describe how the star was supposed to sit on the tree, and I had to maintain my customer service face while internally screaming. There was the wolf whistler, a man who stood outside the shop, sat on a bench, and wolf whistled at me through the window. Through the window. Sir, I am arranging penguin figurines. Read the room. And there was the man who walked by, looked at me through the glass, and licked his chops like I was a rotisserie chicken at Costco. In what universe is that behavior acceptable? These street assaults, because that's what they are, even when they're just whistles and gestures, were another layer of violation in a life that had already been thoroughly violated. When your identity has been stolen, your home has been taken, and your safety has been threatened, being objectified by strangers doesn't feel like a minor annoyance. It feels like confirmation that the world doesn't see you as a person. And that's what the identity thieves wanted me to believe too. Counseling. I finally got access to counseling. Not easily. We've discussed the barriers in previous episodes, but eventually, and it helped. Having a professional say, what happened to you is real, it's criminal, and your responses are normal, was like getting a drink of water after crawling through a desert. I also started filing more reports, a continuation of the blitz from last episode, and I discovered that my photos had been stolen, emptied out of the photo album in which they were contained. These were not digital photos, though those too were taken, but actual photographs images from my life, my history, my face being used in ways I hadn't authorized, in places I hadn't consented to. That one hit differently. Money can be recovered. Accounts can be recreated. But photos are memories. They're proof that you existed in specific moments. And someone took that proof and used it for their own purposes. Your protection is our protection. I kept saying it to agents, to officers, to counselors, to myself, because it's true. And because saying it out loud made me feel like what happened to me mattered. So let's get real about money, because identity theft victims often face financial devastation, and the resources available are inadequate, but they do exist. If you're running out of money due to identity theft, number one, apply for crime victim compensation. Most states have victim compensation programs that can cover costs related to being a crime victim, including things like lost wages, counseling, and some recovery expenses. So contact your state's victim compensation board. Number two, contact 211. Dialing 211 connects you to local social services, things like food banks, utility assistance, emergency financial aid. No judgment, just help. Number three, if identity theft has affected your credit, contact the National Foundation for Credit Counseling at nfcc.org. They provide free or low-cost financial counseling specifically for people in crisis. Number four, look into identity theft insurance retroactively. Some homeowners and renters policies include things like identity theft recovery coverage. If you had a policy at any point during the theft, file a claim. I lost my policy early, as we discussed in episode 1, but you might still have coverage. Number 5, legal aid. If you can't afford an attorney, contact your local legal aid society. Many have dedicated units for consumer fraud and identity theft. About photo theft. Number 1, reverse image search your photos using Google Images or TinEye. That's TINEYE. See where your images are appearing online. Number 2, file DMCA takedown requests with any platform hosting your stolen images. And number 3, and maybe the most important, document the theft for your ongoing legal case. All right, so this is the episode where the bacon goes pretty much full throttle. So instead of one episode, I'm giving you the menu, the Grace Mangum Recovery Bakery menu. During this period, I was making everything. Fastnachts, which are a Pennsylvania Dutch donut. They're traditionally made before Lent, and they are pillowy and perfect and covered in sugar or cinnamon. And I could eat 12 in one sitting, and I may have actually done that. Cupcakes, vanilla, chocolate, anything that I could actually mix in there. I'm not a huge fan of lemon, but if you are, fire away and fall back with those. That's fine. But those made people close their eyes and sigh. Chocolate banana bread. You got that recipe in the last episode. Muffins. I made blueberry muffins. I made strawberry muffins. I made blueberry banana muffins. You can make them with corn. whatever was on sale at the grocery store, because remember, I was broke. Every batch was therapy. Every batch was community. Every batch was proof that Grace Mangum, me, Grace Mangum, was still producing something beautiful. Bake for others, even when, and especially when, you have almost nothing. Generosity when you're at your lowest is the most powerful thing you can do. It confuses the people who tried to break you, and it feeds the people who actually care. All right, so today's marathon, the IAB, again, that stands for the Internal Affairs Bureau, the FBI, running out of money, working at a Christmas shop with penguin ornaments, street assaults from absolute specimens of humanity, photo theft, and enough baking to open a storefront. Your protection is our protection. Remember that. Say it to whoever needs to hear it. Your action items, because there's always action items. Number 1, if law enforcement hasn't helped, escalate. IAB for police issues, FBI for federal crimes, state attorneys general for consumer fraud. Number 2, if you're in a financial crisis, call 211 and look into crime victim compensation. Number 3, reverse image search your photos. See where they've gone. Number 4, bake something. Give it away. Repeat. In the next episode, which I've entitled Press the Reset Button and Start Again, the theft resurges. More rental car nightmares, more cramming, the devastating confirmation that family is involved, technical overcorrection that cost me dearly, medical issues, and we're making chocolate mousse and Moravian sugar cake, because even in the darkest moments, dessert matters. I want to give a special shout out again to Lee Sellers for providing the music for this podcast. I am deeply, deeply grateful to him. Please share this with anyone working a job they're overqualified for while fighting a battle nobody knows about. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a comment, leave a review. The show notes will have victim compensation links, legal aid resources, and I'll include that Fastnacht recipe. I'm Grace Mangum, and everyone wants to be me, and if they're willing to work at a Christmas shop for minimum wage while filing FBI reports, they're welcome to it. The penguin comments are delightful, though. See you next episode.